Just finished talking to a woman who worked for the IRS. Okay. And she worked for the IRS for 30 years. So she decided that she didn't want to go back to work. She's 64 years old. She's ready to retire. So when they had the opportunity to do a buyout or an early out, she said, I'm not going back to work after the pandemic. I'm just going to wait out my time and I'm going to leave, right? So her and I had a really strong conversation today. And after talking to her, an official at the IRS, I am beyond convinced that taxes are an extreme liability in your thrift savings plan, 401k, 403b. Today we took a look at her thrift savings plan, and she had about $220,000 in this plan. Her thrift savings plan portal said that she was going to take home $695 a month. And that's before they take out the taxes. Now you think about it, somebody who's been working at the IRS for 35 years, they're at $150,000, almost $200,000 a year. So her tax bracket right now is about 35% federal. And in the state of Virginia, 5.75% state. So she's at about 40% taxes. So that's $695 a month that they were telling her she was going to take home. You still have to take almost half of that for taxes. Now, yes, that's the income from her thrift savings plan. But after she pays her taxes, how much is really left over? $400? After saving almost $250,000, you're going to pay somebody almost $400 take home pay? I thought it was a travesty. So that made me want to do this. It made me want to come live and just say, hey, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Spike Lee's School Days. Wake up. Y'all remember School Days? Wake up. Okay, I'm asking you to wake up. That money is not your money. It's not real money. So this tripped me out. Okay, listen, I'm going to tell y'all some more. So we opened up her retirement portal, yeah. And then the portal said, your expected retirement income is $9,633 a month. We're like, woohoo! That was her combined federal FERS, federal employees retirement, her thrift savings plan, and her Social Security. It was all of it combined before the taxes. So I said, you know what? As a financial planner, a financial strategist, this is what we're going to do. We're going to calculate how much taxes. How much are you going to get in your hand? So we did it, put it all together, and it ended up being $5,000 a month. $5,066 a month was her real money after the taxes. Do you hear what I'm saying? I'm going PE, public enemy. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype. It is really what you take home after you pay your taxes. That is what you're going to have to live on. Don't be fooled by the balance. Now, I have a couple of clients that I've helped get to $1 million in their thrift savings plan. I have one particular client who works at he works in Suitland, Maryland. What's out there? The Census Bureau. And I've been working with him for 2 years. So when the market drops, he texts me, okay, Shell, what do I do? What do I do with my thrift savings plan? I say, okay, move it here, do that, do that, do that, do that, right? And then, okay, it went from 600, 6 months, 8 months later. Oh, it's back to 800. I said, okay, okay, you're at 800. The goal is to get you to 1 million, right? Okay, so now he's at $1 million. Now, he's been at the Census Bureau for about 30 years. Think about this, 30 years. So you know he's at $150,000 plus per year. How much is he going to have to pay in taxes? 40%. So he says, Shell, listen, okay, I'm going to stay. I know the administration changed, and because some government employees, when the president changed, things get funky. Okay. It's like, well, I'm going to stay until I'm 61. I'm just going to hold on. No, he said, I'm going to hold on till I'm 60. I'm going to hold on till I'm 60, and I'm going to stay here. And I want you to help me get $1 million in my thrift savings plan. I said, okay, I'll ride this out with you if you promise to be my client when you come out in December. He was like, oh man, absolutely. What you done for me, what I wouldn't go with anyone else, right? So I got this commitment and all this stuff. So I said, okay. And then you're gonna give me referrals, right? So yeah, sure, I'm gonna give you some referrals. So he's been giving me good referrals the whole time. And I said, we are now in business together. You're giving me referrals. I'm helping you get $1 million in your thrift savings plan. Let's go. Okay, but you still have to pay your taxes on that million. 40% is $400,000 in taxes. $400,000 in taxes on $1 million. Let that sink in for a minute. No. Don't believe me. Say, Rochelle, you're lying. I don't believe it. No, nobody's paying $400,000 in taxes. I don't believe it. Okay. You make $150,000 a year. What is your tax bracket? Go look it up. Ask Google. 30%, 32%, 35%. That's just federal. Where do you live? Suitland, Maryland. What is your tax bracket at $150,000 a year and you live in Maryland? 5.75%. What is 35 and 5.75? 40.75. That's your tax bracket. That's how much you have to take out of your thrift savings plan before it gets into your funky hands. Yes, y'all know I'm colored, so I'm going to say stuff like that. All right. So $475,000 is your tax bill. Don't believe me. Try to take it and see if the IRS comes after you. See, just test it for yourself. Well, I'll take it monthly. I'll take it monthly. Nope. I'll take it monthly. And when you retire, you're going to take it in that year's tax bracket. So if you're still at $150,000 the same year you retire, you're still going to be in that year's tax bracket. So it's going to be 40.75% that first year you retire. Okay, well, after that year, I'll drop down. I say, yeah, your income's going to drop down too. So now your income is cut in what? Half? So now your tax bracket is at 22%. That's a big help. And your tax bracket on state is still 5.75%. You're still up close to 30%. Oh my God. You know what? Have y'all thought about this on Facebook? Have y'all thought about this on YouTube? That is a lot of taxes, honey. I don't care how you slice it. That's a lot of taxes. Okay. So, Rochelle, what's the solution? Get to the bottom line. I'm going to tell you what the solution is. Okay. The solution is a trust. A trust. Yeah, it's a trust. A living trust, a guarantor retained annuity trust, a charitable retained annuity trust. It depends on what your family structure is. It could be a gifting trust, like if you have grandchildren or children. It could be let me think about the other one. It could be, let's see, charitable, guarantor retained. There's several different type of trusts. Like if you have a disabled child, or if you're taking care of a disabled parent who is a dependent, there's different type of trust. And the trust is the in place for your 401k or 403b or whatever you can stick inside that trust, that where you would be charged taxes. So I got to the bottom line. I told you that the end result is a trust. But there's a step you have to take before. You can't just stick your money from the thrift savings plan straight into a trust. You can't. The trust only takes annuities. What? Mm-hmm. Or IRAs, self-directed IRAs. All right. So, what's a self-directed IRA? That means you own it. You got it out of the government's hands. You got it out of the employer's hands. You own the IRA. You have to become the owner. It has to be in something that can't be lost on the stock market. So that means it has to be in an annuity or a guaranteed fixed account. You can't take a stock thing and put it in the trust and then the stock crashes and all the money's gone. The trust has no funds. So that's the reason why it's some type of an annuity or some type of an IRA or some kind of guaranteed account. It has to be some kind of guaranteed account. You can't stick a non-guaranteed account. So obviously, it has something to do with perpetuating wealth, knowing that only guaranteed accounts can go inside of a trust. Now, that was a lot of good information before I even got started. But have you noticed the holes in your 401k and thrift savings plan? Well, I just made you notice one, and that's the biggest one. 22, I don't even know anybody who has 22% taxes without the state taxes. But 22 to 45% of your money is going back to taxes. And then if the money is not growing at 5% interest, your money is not keeping up with inflation or the cost of living going up. So if you're not getting at least 5% interest, your money is depreciating in value every single year. And why would you take your retirement money and risk it on the stock market? Retirement money is supposed to be for your financial security. So it needs to be secure. There needs to be a guarantees in your retirement. Back in the before, what's up, Manzi? So back when Bill Clinton was the president, Bill Clinton, was it Bill Clinton or was it Bush? Back during the civil service retirement, y'all remember that before the first retirement? People used to have something called a pension, right? And a pension was you owned a piece of the rock or you owned a piece of the company that you worked for, and the company gave you shares. You participated in the company's gains, and you had guarantees inside of your retirement. And you were guaranteed that you were going to get a retirement. But then came some joker, and I can't remember his name. Companies were losing a lot of money because people were retiring and companies had to pay them pensions. So, big business and the IRS And some joker, I can't remember his name, it'll come back to me, invented something called the 401k. And the 401ks were designed so that the company could get commission fees, whether you lose or gain money on the stock market, so that companies could get fees regardless, so that the employees would take responsibility for their own money on the stock market, so that if you as an employee lost your money, no, well, it's yours. We brush our hands of it. You don't know anything about the stock market? Oh, well, we have nothing to do with it. But they still take out their fees. So it's a win-win. And then the IRS gets to keep a large portion of your money. The IRS gets to own your retirement. So it's good for the IRS. It's good for your employer. It's also good for the brokerage house. Whoever it is that the brokers, the stockbrokers who are in charge of deciding where your money is going to be invested, it's good for them. They get a 1% to a 3% commission fee, which is attached to your account for the rest of your life. So it's good for the stockbrokers. It's good for the IRS. It's good for your employers. But how good is it for you? That's the question, right? So they changed everyone, starting from the federal employees to what's called a FERS, Federal Employees Retirement System, which is a little bit of a pension plus Social Security to minimize the cost. Y'all picking up what I'm laying down? And then they put the rest of the money into what is a 401k. They just renamed it the Thrift Savings Plan. That's the history. So now, as a federal government employee, you have a little tiny bit of a pension. You have Social Security, which God knows who is Social Security really going to be here. I don't know about this crazy government we looking at. And then even before the change of administration, the government was saying Social Security might run out of money. Social Security is paycheck to paycheck right now. So that means you and I are working and we're paying our Social Security taxes. Your money that's coming out of your pay is going straight to some senior citizen's mailbox. So it's not even a savings plan. It's from me to my 80-year-old mama. That's Social Security. Everybody thinks Social Security is this big pool of money. No, it's not. The government knows how to be their own bank. They take money from your pocket and pay some senior. They leveraging your money, honey, all day. Okay. And they're saying that it's going to be so many seniors that Social Security will run dry. I really don't understand how Social, but that's a whole nother thing, you know. Okay. So now our retirement plans are no longer pensions. Our retirement plans are now 401ks in disguise. The thrift savings plan, the 403b, the 401k. Now, if you have a 457 plan, then you do actually have a pension. Thank God for you. Hey, Pepco. What's up, Pepco? Y'all still have Washington Gas. Y'all still have a pension. Well, good for you. But they combined it with a 401k as well. Because why? Everybody's trying to get paid. They all want those commission fees and the broker fees. The IRS still wants their money. Okay, so it really wasn't created for you. It was created so that the government could have more taxes and your employer and the brokerage house could get compensated. There's your history. Go look it up for yourself. So my question is, why risk your money on the stock market, your retirement money? You should have 3 personal buckets of money. Write this down because it's not on the slide. This is God speaking through me. You should have 3 personal buckets of money. So here comes your paycheck. You see it? Here comes your paycheck. Boom. 10% should go to you and God. Oh, I don't believe in God. Well, whatever charity, because there's a principle of selflessness. They that sow abundantly shall reap abundantly. Give to those who are in need. Give to those who are less fortunate than you. Give to charitable causes. There is no multimillionaire, billionaire on the planet that doesn't practice the principle of give and you shall receive. Here comes Wisdom Wednesday. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, will good people give back to you when you're helping other people. Type it in the chat, Nancy. Say, help other people with your money and watch God help you, right? So the first bucket is tithing to yourself and tithing to God. The book is called The Greatest Salesman in the World. It talks about biblical principles and spiritually tithing to yourself. The other principle you all have heard, pay yourself first, right? I know y'all have heard that. It's t-shirts with it on, okay? Tithe to yourself, tithe to God. If you put God first, infinite intelligence, source energy, the creator of the universe first, everything else will fall into line. Your subconscious mind will open up, ideas will come, favor will come, people will come to help you because you practice the principle of helping other people. So you what? Reap what you sow. Amen. So that is the reason why you pay yourself first in an emergency account. So this bucket that should be earning 3% interest or more is an emergency fund bucket. This bucket, 5 to 10% of your pay goes in it, out of sight, out of mind. It is a lifestyle. It is not, I'm just going to do it today and I'm broke tomorrow and I look up and it's zero in my savings account. Because every time you get paid, God gets paid, I get paid. Oh, that sounds like a good song. What's up, Nancy? Help other people with your money and it will return to you. It's a godly principle. Thank you, Nancy. Absolutely. I love that. I love that. So, put God first, put yourself first. You and God are the majority, right? So your first bucket is your emergency funds. You're going to look for a money market account. If you have a bank or a credit union, stop putting money in that account that is decreasing in value. If they're paying you less than 5%, your money is depreciating in value. Don't let the bank rob you. Move your money to a money market account. Find one that pays 3% or a high yield savings account. Well, Rochelle, where can I find this? Well, do your research. Sally Mae. Capital One has a decent one. I have a list of them. Email me, and I don't mind just sending you a brochure that has a list of them. I can't think of the name of the website right now. There's a website that refreshes itself that shows you the current list of high yield savings account. Get yourself one, tie to yourself, either 5 to 10%. Always have emergency funds somewhere growing in the background. First bucket, okay? Second bucket, so it is tied into your emergency cash. The second bucket is your life insurance disability bucket. This is a bucket. It's your retirement and emergency funds. So tithe for emergencies and tithe for your future self. This is the bucket you want to grow passive income. The passive income bucket. Do you have a bucket where you're putting money and that bucket is going to turn into a passive income for you? Now, see, the government understands the principles. Your employer understands the principles. So they don't ask you. They take the money and stick it into one of these buckets. because they know your hind parts is going to be living under a bridge. At age 65, they're going to have this population of homeless people if you don't practice this principle. So when you go to your employer, a lot of times they don't ask you, they just take your money and stick it into a pension. But it's not the best plan because it's taxable, hard taxes. You understand what I'm saying? But the second bucket is your passive income bucket. It's for long term, it's for passive income, it's also for life insurance. So that we are not passing the plate or trying to go fund me Fairmont Heights. Fairmont Heights, high school. No more GoFunding me. No, get some life insurance and get it before you get too sick to get it, right? Life insurance with living benefits. What is that, Rochelle? That means that you can turn the life insurance into cash if the doctor tells you you have cancer, or you have a heart attack, or heart disease, or stroke, or kidney disease, or if you suffer head trauma, or you're severely burned, or you're paralyzed, or you go into a coma, or you suffer with Alzheimer's. There's 13 different health triggers, injuries, and health triggers where you can take. Say you have just a little $100,000 policy will become $80,000 in cash because the doctor told you were diagnosed with cancer. That goes in the second bucket. It's your retirement and it's your income replacement. This bucket could be labeled income replacement. If something happens and I get sick and I cannot go back to my job, what income do I have to take care of this? Now, the government understands this too. So they force you to pay something called Social Security taxes. So that if you become, but you have to be extremely disabled to collect Social Security disability, but they force you to pay into it because they don't want to have a street full of people who are in wheelchairs and so sick and no money coming in, right? It's to help the health of the population. But if you have a life insurance policy that has living benefits, instead of filing for Social Security because you're disabled, you could file a claim against this life insurance policy. And if it's $100,000, you could take $1,000 a month. Tax free. Tax free. That sounds good to me. I don't know about you, but it just makes sense. All right, so we got two buckets. Your emergency funds. You should have at least 3 to 6 months worth of savings in your emergency funds. Don't have more than a year worth of savings at the bank. Why? Because money decreases in value when they're paying you less than 5%. So every year you have money in the bank is decreasing the buying power, which means next year everything is going to be more expensive. So your money didn't keep up with the expenses of next year. So that means your money buying power depreciated sitting in the bank. Do you understand what I'm saying? So when you get 6 months and then you have your retirement and life insurance bucket, now it's time to do the third bucket. The third bucket is your investment bucket. That's when you start owning companies. What do you like? Apple? Buy some Apple. Nike? My son is crazy for Nike. We went to the Nike outlet and I thought he didn't want to leave the store. Stayed in the dressing room for like 20 minutes, right? So he should own some Nike stock. I need to buy him some. For Christmas, I think he's going to get a share certificate. For Christmas, under the Christmas tree, Nike shares, right? Okay? So if you hate something, own it and get a dividend check. The light bill, Virginia Power. own some shares and get a dividend check. It'll help decrease your light bill because they'll be paying you shares when you're paying your light bill. Ooh, that's a good strategy. Real estate? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Take some money, own it. You don't even have to need, you don't really even need, you just need good credit. Here's the wisdom for Wednesday. A good name is more valuable than money. Write that down. Look it up. Solomon said it somewhere in the book of Proverbs. A good name is more valuable than money. What was Solomon talking about? He was talking about the ability to borrow money that you don't have and make money on borrowed money. I'm not going to go into that because that's advanced money principles. But when you have good credit and you can borrow $1 million and you have the ability to pay back that million plus 5% interest, but you can make 2 million on the million that you borrowed. That's what Solomon's talking about. The power of a good name will make you more money than the actual cash. Robert Kiyosaki said, I hate cash. Cash is worthless. Robert Kiyosaki is a multi-billionaire. He says, leverage other people's money and make money on other people's money. Make money for them and make a 50 to 500% profit for yourself on other people's money. Woo, honey, those are advanced principles, right? But that's what King Solomon was saying when he said a good name or good credit is worth more than money because it gives you the ability to borrow large sums of money and make money with it. And you have the integrity to pay the money back. Now, let me just tell you something. Suppose I was sitting here broke, right? And everybody said, oh, I have no cash. I'm broke. But everybody says, I trust Rochelle. Rochelle has a good name. Rochelle, I'm going to loan you $100,000 and pay me back 5% interest. So on the $100,000, pay me a $5,000 interest. I'm saying, sure, right? And at the time appointed, I pay that person $100,000 plus the $5,000. So that person made $5,000 from loaning me money, and I have a good name, right? So now if I need it, that person will do it again. You'll never be broke when you have a good name. That's another principle. You'll never be broke when you have a good name because there's always going to be people who trust you that will give you money. Wow, that was a lot of wisdom, right? Okay, so you got your 3 buckets, your emergency funds, tithing to yourself and to God, your retirement, your passive income bucket, it's life insurance, there's living benefits, there's things that create passive income that's in that bucket. And now once you fill up your foundation, you have your foundation of emergency cash, you have your foundation. If the entire world falls to pieces, you have your passive income. And now you have your investments. Investments is the top of the pyramid. When I first came into financial services, that's the first thing we learned. It was the financial house, emergency cash, life insurance and retirement. And at the top, which is the riskiest part, is the investments, the real estate, the stocks, the shares. You can't flip that pyramid. If you don't have at least 6 months worth of emergency cash, you're going to be taking your bill money and putting it on the stock market. You're going to be taking your emergency funds and putting on the stock market. You're going to be doing what they do with your 401k. You're going to be taking your 401k money and putting on the stock market. That's not where secure money should be secure. There should be a guarantees on your retirement money. Okay? So follow the foundation of financial success. And when the big wolf comes, called the IRS or the government or whatever emergencies, when the big wolf comes, he's going to huff and puff, and he won't be able to blow your house down because you got your emergency cash, your life insurance, your disability income producing things, and your investment. Your house is built on a strong foundation. Woo! Somebody must be pulling on the anointing because I was not planning to do all that, okay? But listen, so plug the holes of taxes, low growth, and stock market risk in your retirement bucket. Okay? Does that sound like a plan? Mm-hmm. It is. It's a plan. Whoop. Uh-oh. What am I doing? Okay, let me go back, y'all. For some reason on this Zoom, I have been trying to share, and for some reason my share button has been hiding from me. I can't figure out what it is. I think this, I don't know what it is, y'all. All right, so I had to open up my PowerPoint presentation again, and I just got the arrows, and I'm going back to the slide where I was. Okay, here we go. I'm with you. I'm with you. You hang with me. You stay. Don't you move. Keep learning now. This is financial literacy. Okay. As soon as I get to the page on one, I'm going to share it. Okay. All right. So we talked about all that stuff coming out of your thrift savings plan and your 401k, taxes, broker fees, stock market losses, all that stuff. But the biggest one is taxes. So, Rochelle, get to the point. What is the solution? Okay, here we go. You ready? The solution is, write this down. Here it comes. Let me go. I'm gonna go past all that. Go to the solution. What's the solution? The solution is called a fixed indexed Roth IRA. Rochelle, what is that? A fixed is describes the interest rate. So that means when the stock market crashes, you don't lose a dime because your money sits on the floor of a guaranteed interest rate. The fixed interest rate sometimes is 1%, 2%. The fixed interest rate could be zero, right? But at least you know that when the stock market crashes, your money sits on the floor. Indexing is a group of mutual funds. So it could be 500 companies in America, the S&P 500, 2,000 companies in America, the Russell 2000. It could be tech stocks, right? Group of tech stocks. It could be Bank of America funds. It could be the Hang Seng, which is a group of Asian funds. It could be the Global Balance, which is a combination of Japan, Germany, and the US. But indexes are a group of funds who have, or a group of companies who have something in common. And it allows you to take your money and it's equally divided going into those companies. And then it comes back to you in an average return. So if you go on your phone and you say, what is the S&P 500? And how much did it earn today? It'll tell you. I believe it was 6 point something percent today because my client opened up a portal and I saw like 6.75%, something like that, right? So that is what the S&P, and I don't quote me on that because I haven't looked it up officially, but that is an average of what the S&P 500 index did, right? So it's a group of funds. So if you combine the two, a fixed interest rate, which means you don't lose a dime, and then your index, now you have stock market gains and no losses. That is the ideal strategy for a retirement plan. Why? Because a retirement plan has to pay you more than 5% interest or your money is decreasing in value. And the only way to get more than 5% is by using the stock market indexes. And you shouldn't lose a dime. It's your retirement money, for goodness sake. It should not, you shouldn't lose it, because here you are, something happened, and your body, you were diagnosed with something. And the doctor says, hey, you were diagnosed with XYZ. You have to come off your job. You don't want to go back to work and the doctor told you you have some type of cancer. You could, but I mean, really? And so you retire and the stock market is down and you lost 50% of your savings on the stock market and you owe Uncle Sam the other 30%. So there goes 80% of your balance between the stock market and your taxes. 80% of your balance is gone. And here you are, 65 years old, and you worked at that job for 20 years. It just ain't fair. Do you hear me? It's not fair. Okay? So fix it and index it. Don't do one without the other. They work best together. The other thing you want to do is Roth the account. What is Roth? Roth means at age 59 and a half, all of your money comes to you tax free. 59 and a half, tax free income. If you touch the money before you're 59 and a half, you will pay a 10% penalty. I've seen this happen. Had somebody 58. He tried to cash in his Roth IRA. The company sent him a bill. They took 10% out of his Roth IRA. He was like, what happened? I said, how old are you? 58. I said, that's the 10% tax penalty. You have to wait till you're 59 and a half to withdraw money out of a Roth, or she'll pay a 10% tax penalty. I said, well, guess what? That's better than paying 22% federal and 5% state. That's better than 27%, because if that was your regular IRA or your thrift savings plan or 401k, that tax bill would have been 27% or more, right? Depending on your income. So get yourself a Roth, and even if you had to touch it, you're only going to pay a 10% tax penalty, right? What is the use in saving money you can't touch? What is the use of saving money you can't touch? So many people stuff money in a 401k and they say, I'll just leave it alone. What? What are you talking about? The purpose for accumulating money is so that you can use the flipping money, right? Why? Well, I'm just going to keep it in there because I don't want the IRS to get it. You need to talk to me about different strategies on how to get that money going for you, right? Turn it into an annuity. There's a bunch of things you can do. All right. Which strategy is best for you? I don't know. You need to talk to me because it is a strategy and it's personal. Yeah. And then people say, I had this lady say today, she said, well, I'm putting money in my thrift savings plan because I'm trying to reduce my taxes. She had $184,000 a year. So I keep putting money. I said, is it working? She said, no. I said, but you work at the IRS. Have you been able to lower yourself down to the $22,000 bracket? No. I said, you know why? I said, because you're at like 184,000. You'd have to put in more than half your paycheck to get to the next tax bracket. That is not working for you. All you're doing is losing your money on the stock market and giving your money back to the IRS. The whole defer it so my taxes will be less at the end of the year. It's not working for you. You would be living on a low income salary if you try to reduce it that much. Now, some of you are like, Rochelle, I don't know what you are talking about. Keep listening. Financial literacy is extremely important. An IRA is an individual retirement account. It is a self-directed IRA, which means you own it. Your employer doesn't own it anymore. Uncle Sam doesn't own it anymore. You still owe Uncle Sam taxes. Well, if it's Roth, you owe no taxes. So fix it, put a floor on it, index it, and Roth it. So now you have no losses, no taxes, and you're earning an average of 7% or more. Okay? Fixed index account. You can do the same thing with an index universal life insurance policy. An index universal life is buy permanent life insurance and invest the difference in a fixed indexed Roth IRA. There is a tax-free retirement plan inside of an index universal life insurance policy if that joker structured it right. I had a friend of mine, lives in Virginia Beach. He told me, oh yeah, I bought an index universal life years ago from XYZ company. I said, how old are you? 57. I said, how much are you putting into it? $200 a month. I said, get out of here. That joker sold you a regular life insurance policy. I said, how much life insurance is on it? He said, I don't even remember. I think it's 200,000. I said, honey, you ain't doing nothing but paying for life insurance. And you got a little bit of cash value. Your policy is not a tax-free retirement plan. Now, if you told me you had $50,000, maybe just a little bit of it is a retirement plan. But honey, your policy is not a tax-free retirement plan. Do you hear what I'm saying? So many agents are just going for the money. They don't know how. Some of them don't know how to turn your policy into a tax-free retirement plan. Do you know I had to sit in classes? I just had to sit in one last month. I had to sit in classes for months to learn the strategy of how to turn an IUL into a tax-free retirement plan. You're talking to somebody that is certified, somebody who is a specialist. And I have to take commission cuts. There's never a tax-free retirement IUL where the agent doesn't take some kind of commission cut. That's the reason why a lot of jokers won't do it, because they don't want to take the commission cuts. And I am being as transparent to you as a glass of pure water. Okay? So listen, if you think you have an IUL, but the math is not mathing, you need to reach out to me at RaymaFinancialSolutions.net. Go to my website and book a phone call. I don't want you to jump on Zoom. I just want to talk to you on the phone to make sure we're a good fit. You match me, I match you. There's an energy, we connect. We have a spiritual, emotional connection. Then we can do a Zoom. The last thing, this one isn't a tax-free retirement plan. This is just a be your own bank flip loans policy. It's called a high cash value whole life. This is a whole life policy where you own a piece of the rock, which means you are a shareholder in the life insurance company, and the life insurance company is sending you dividends. Anytime you hear the word dividends, that means you own shares of something. So the company is putting dividends into your policy, and your policy cash value is growing rapidly. There is no way to turn that cash value into a lifetime income. Whole life companies do not have riders or anything on the policy where you can just get an income. You could get your dividends paid to you, but normally dividends aren't large enough to create a good retirement income. The best way to do a whole life policy is to be your own bank, which means you can borrow from the life insurance company. And if you don't pay back the loan, they'll use your death benefit as collateral, which means they'll decrease your death benefit at the end of the year because you didn't pay back the balance of your loan. And if you keep funding it over, it'll just grow back, just like a lizard who got his tail cut off, and there it goes, growing back. Whoop! The tail keeps growing back. As long as you keep funding it, the tail keeps growing back, and you can just keep borrowing and paying yourself back, borrow, pay yourself back. It's fun. And it's a be your own bank policy, and then there's different strategies on how to multiply it, just make it go crazy, right? You could just woo. Well, you can have so much tax-free cash. It's fun, but it is not a retirement plan. Stop. Look at me. A whole life policy is not a retirement income plan. You could use it to pay off the balance of your house. You could use it to flip real estate. You could pay off your debts. The best way to use it is to pay off bad debts and loans. So you could use it that way to be your own bank, but it's not going to pay you a retirement income. So if you have some joker who sat down with you with a whole life policy and told you that it was going to be a retirement income, honey, they lied to you. You need to run in the opposite direction. And then you need to send me an email saying, Rochelle, I think this joker lied to me. Can we talk? So it's Rhema, RHEMA, Financial Solutions with an S.net. Book a phone call. Don't jump on my Zoom calendar. If I don't know you, I don't want to see you. I just want to talk to you on the phone. Okay, is that good? Just a 15-minute phone call. That's all I need. And after I talk to you for a few minutes, I'll know and you will know too, okay? But these are the tax-free buckets which you can fill up. So this should be your middle bucket. You got your emergency funds. You got at least 6 months, 3 to 6 months in there. So now you're financially stable. Then you got your middle bucket, which is your life insurance with living benefits and retirement, your retirement. Okay, it's not on the stock market. You know it's going to be there for you, and you're not putting your retirement money at risk. That's your middle bucket. And you got your investment bucket. See, you got your house in order. So when the stock market crashes, you don't feel like you want to run to the bathroom and pee fire. Oh my God, I'm fire. I'm burned up. The stock market crash and there goes all my money. No, you got your emergency money and you got your money in secure places. So the stock market crashes, we can teach you how to buy the dip. And you be like, okay, come on, let's go. It's coming back up. Let's ride. But that's a whole nother thing. Okay, so we did. All right, so I'm going to skip this part. So I think I got my point across. Yeah. Okay, I think I got my point across. Okay, so that was the retirement. So what's the difference between an FIA and what is the difference between a fixed index account and a thrift savings plan? Taxes. Sweet Jesus. If you Roth your fixed index account, it's going to be 0 taxes. If you put your money in an index universal life and turn that into a retirement plan, it's going to be 0 taxes. If you put your money into a fixed index non-qualified, you're just going to pay taxes on the interest. The principal is tax-free, so it's going to minimize your taxes. You can minimize your taxes or you can wipe your taxes out. Which one do you want to do? You want to pay the 30% taxes to the 401k or you want to wipe your taxes out? I think that's the biggest difference. Okay. I have one more nugget to share with you, then it'll be gone. So in the federal employees life insurance genre is something called the FEGLI. Go Google it and download the government handbook. So, and guess what? All employees, whether you work for Xerox, IBM, Apple, Washington Gas, Pepco, or the federal government, they all have something called temporary life insurance on you, or term, which means as soon as you leave your job, your life insurance is gone. And if they give you the option to keep it, it's going to be 5-year renewable term, which means every 5 years, the price is going to double. Here's an example of the Federal Employees Group Life Insurance. This is the highlighted version of the handbook. It says that the life insurance is underwritten by MetLife. Oh, that's good to know. It says that at age 65, the life insurance is going to start reducing in value by 2% per month. And at age 65, you're going to have 25% of your salary left. So if you make $100,000 a year, at age 65, that's going to drop down to $25,000, and that's it. And if you decide, you can pay the 5-year term policy. That's where I got it. So you can take a picture of that OPM website and verify what I'm telling you. So here is the 5-year term policy that they offer federal government employees. If you have Veterans Group Life Insurance, it's the same thing. If you get VGLI, that's a 5-year renewable term. So that means every 5 years, your price doubles. So if you take a look here, from ages 50 to age 54, $179. At age 65, it's $878 a month. At age 70, it's $1,560 a month. Oh, you have longevity? Well, at age 80, it's $4,290 per month. Your life insurance costs more than your house note. Am I kidding? You know I'm not. You better know the difference between term and permanent insurance. Term is when they're going to raise the price on you. You have no cash value. And if you're sick, the price is going to be so high you won't be able to afford it. Permanent is where you own a piece of the rock. They're going to pay you dividends, or they're going to pay you stock market interest or fixed interest rate. It's equity, similar to when you have equity in your house, your cash value. You have the ability to borrow, just like you would borrow against your home, and leave the equity there, and you can leverage the equity in your home. You can do the same thing when you own a life insurance policy, right? So you can keep your equity inside of your policy and borrow money from the life insurance company. And if you don't pay them back their money, then they'll decrease it out of the equity at the end of the year. So you can do the same things that you do with the equity in your home when you own your own life insurance policy. Now, just suppose they had taught us that instead of telling us, oh, life insurance is just if you die. It's only to put you in the ground. You shouldn't be borrowing from your life insurance. Your family's not going to have any money. Anybody was raised like that? Yeah, because they sold us final expense whole life. That's the low grade. You're not a shareholder. You don't get stock market interest. It's none of that. They pay you 2% interest per year in a final expense. And if you borrow out it, yes, you will decrease your life insurance. You're borrowing your life insurance away. You can't even pay it back most times, because if you pay it back, you may not get back to the death benefit you had, because you're not growing enough interest. You're not participating in the company gains. They sold us final expense whole life in the hood, and then scared us out of the investment opportunities and the borrowing opportunities of being your own bank. So that's why you see us fired up about it. And get it with living benefits, so that if the doctor says you have cancer, or you go out and get in a motorcycle accident and you suffer head trauma or something like that, you can cash in 80% of the death benefit and take care of yourself, okay? What does it take to be financially independent? Well, $1 million in assets. $1 million, if you have it at 7% interest, that means your money is 7.2%. That means your money is going to double every 10 years. So you have to get at least 7.2% growth on your money, or you're wasting your flipping time. Okay. So if you put in 500, if you're 25 years old and you put in, or to 35 years old, and you put in $500 a month, you're going to end up with $1 million in tax-free cash. If it's in an IUL or a Roth, fixed index Roth, not that stinking Roth on your job where they'll lose your money in the stock market. You take 5 steps forward to take 8 steps backward. I'm not talking about that Roth. I'm talking about a Roth that has a fixed interest rate and it mirrors the stock market, and it also pays you bonus money. I didn't get into that. If you put it in the right type of Roth and you stick in $500 a month and you're between the ages of 25 and 35, you will be a tax-free millionaire by the time you're 65 years old. Now, if you are 50 to 60, then your behind needs to stick in $1,000 to $3,000 a month. And you'll end up with $500,000 to $1 million in cash, tax-free. As long as you don't lose a dime, as long as you get 7% interest, and if you talk to me, you're going to get bonus money. Is that good? So $1,000 a month, Mr. or Mrs. Ma'am, to $3,000 a month, depending on your goals. If you can sock away $4,000 a month, or if you have a lump sum of money, if you have $100,000, then there's a whole nother strategy for you. If you have $150,000 in a lump sum, and you can take it and put it into an IUL, you have a special IUL that other people can't have. And it is a premium financing IUL, where we will match you with a trust and we will match you with a bank, and the bank will match your money dollar for dollar. All you have to do, or dollar for $3. It's called the 5-year retirement laser fund. 5 years, you put your money in there for 5 years and it's done. But you have to have at least $100,000 or more in liquid cash assets that and you need to have at least 10 years before you need the money. If you have $100,000 or more and you have 10 years before you need the money, you qualify for an IUL that the average public cannot see. There's only a few financial advisors who do this, and I'm one of them. And on Zoom calls like this, we don't tell people about it, because you need to be $100,000 that you don't need. It's there, and that's not money that you need to live on. You understand? And then you just want to take it. You can have more than that, but that's the minimum to qualify for this particular be your own bank. It's combined with a trust. There's lenders who will fund it for you, and you'll have so much flipping. You'll take $100,000 and turn it into so much flipping money, tax-free money, that it will blow your ever-loving blessed mind. You want to see it? Do you qualify for it? I would gladly show it to you. But you need to call me first. It's only a phone call. You just call me and we can talk so we know which way to go. Okay? But either way, it takes $1 million in assets to get yourself $100,000 a year. If you have $1 million or more in assets, there's so many resources for you that other people will never see. You can take $1 million and turn it into $100,000 to $120,000 a year. Matter of fact, we took $103 million from a real estate investor, and he just got this windfall of money from selling 2 elementary schools charter schools that he owned, and he didn't want to stick it in the bank. He didn't know what to do, so we put it into this particular account. He waited and let it cook for 5 years because he didn't want to retire. Him and his wife were traveling and doing all that. So we let it cook for 5 years, and we turned it into $171,000 a year passive income for the rest of his life. And then we did power move number 3. And we got an estate planning lawyer and took, because we grew it, multiplied it, put it into an annuity, and then we did what? We took that specialized annuity and we put it into a trust. Because when you are at that particular level, the IRS comes after you and everybody comes after you. They want to sue you and all of that. So you got to protect, even if you're not, no matter where you are, you need to put your money in a trust. So that way you protect your money from the IRS, the government, people who don't like you, people who claim that you're their baby daddy or whatever, right? And you make sure that there's no fights in your family and all that. So you need to have a trust, okay? And put it all in a trust. So you have to put your money in a trust in order to minimize the taxes eventually, okay? Or you have to start out the right way. If you start out with an index universal life, or you start out with a Roth IRA or some kind of Roth strategy, if you start out that way, you're not going to end up old and broke, old and owing the IRS 40% of your savings, right? If you didn't know, you can't do what you don't know. But you did manage to accumulate 6 figures. There's still hope to turn your 6 figures. So today we talked to someone at 220,000, and we turned her 220,000. We let it cook. If she keeps it the first year, her account's going to pay out $14,000 a year. If she just does it and then gets her income. If she waits, it'll turn into 20,000. If she waits 5 years, her it's going to turn into $25,000. No, $32,000 a year. $32,000 a year. So she took $220,000, and if she waits, she can decide any time that she wants to turn an income between $14,000 and $32,000 a year for the rest of her life. Where else can you do that? There's really no other place. You have to talk to a financial strategist. So where do you find the money? We recommend that you reduce your 401k, your thrift savings, or your 403b down to the matching. Just drop it down to the matching and then redirect the difference and put it in a fixed index Roth IRA, an index universal life, and then eventually get that money into a trust so that you're not getting hit with all those taxes, or you're minimizing the taxes, okay? So redirect the money. If you're putting over 5% and your company's not matching, redirect that money into a tax-free Roth IRA, okay? If you have a lot of bad debts, which means you have credit cards at 22% and 14% and all that, then you need a whole life policy. And let us get you a whole life policy where you can borrow the life insurance company's money to pay off your debts. And your money will continue to grow in the policy because you're using their money to pay off your debts. Wealth thinking. You don't use your own money to pay for debts. You use somebody else's money to pay for your debts. If you have to put your money in a place where it's not making money, then you keep your money growing someplace and use their money. It's wealth thinking. And then as you increase with this thinking, more opportunities to do that will open up for you. How to leverage. You're not stealing from people. When you're leveraging, it's equal value. So for example, let's just say my mom ran down here and I said, hey mom, I want to borrow $100 from you. My mom said, okay, Shelly, she'd give me $100 all day. And I said, Mom, when I get paid, I'm going to give you back $110. So, oh, sure. Now, my mama would probably say, oh, girl, you don't have to do that, right? But I said, Mom, I want to give you back more money. She said, okay. So guess what? Mom made $10, right, on the money she borrowed for me. But I took my mom's money and I put it into a marketing system. I set appointments and I made $35,000. So I put it into a social media post, or I put it into something that reaped me an appointment where I made $35,000 on the $100 my mama gave me. That's called being your own bank. She won. I triple, dipple, flipple, won 500% it, won. Because I know how to make money when somebody gives me money. I know how to pay them what they want and double, triple, dipple. The Bible says, give and it shall be given. Well, given and it shall be given. It says, expect 30, 50, and 100-fold return on what you put in. Expect 30, 50, and 100-fold. Jesus said that. Right? Okay. Don't overfund your savings accounts at the banks. Rich people don't put their money in CDs. I actually talked to a friend of mine whose assets are at 85 million. He said, Rochelle, I just saw a CD at XYZ Bank paying 5%. And I was like, well, what do you want? Why do you want that? It's taxable. So they're going to send you a 1099 on that CD and you can't touch it for 5 years. And there's penalties. You didn't really earn 5% if you have to pay the IRS 30% in taxes. And you're not doing anything because they lock your money in it for 5 years. And in 5 years, is a CD going to be worth 5%? Is it a fixed interest rate? 5% ain't nothing. When you put it next to a tax bill, you earn zero, doodly squat. You're negative 25%. So CDs don't make any flipping sense, in my opinion. Now, I'm sure you have your opinion. I got mine. How you doing financially? How you doing? Like Wendy said, okay? Don't overfund 401ks. Don't overfund CDs. Don't overfund bank accounts. And for goodness sake, Chapel Oaks, Maryland, don't be like my granddaddy who used to save money in the floor. Now, granddaddy he bought coins, okay? And he would sit on the couch with this magnifying glass, and he would have this black box. It's like suede or velvet or something. And he would have these coins in there, and he would look at the coins. Remember back in the day before they had reading glasses, they had them big old. So he would read, and he would look at the year, and he would look at it, right? Because it's real. And then he would take it, flip it, and then he would hide it in the floor. Let me tell y'all something. Somewhere on Dual Place in Chapel Oaks, Maryland, I'm telling you, there is a treasure in the floor of my old grandparents' house somewhere. We need to go on a treasure hunt and find his money. But listen, if it's not real money, which means it's not real gold, it's not real silver, it doesn't have the dates that make it very, very valuable. If you are not earning at least 5% interest on your money is depreciating value. So if we did find granddaddy's money, and it was a bunch of Buffalo nickels, back in the 60s, he could buy everybody a meal with like $2. But $2 can barely get you a big gulp at 7-Eleven right now, right? So the buying power of money has depreciated. So granddaddy's coins, depending on what they are not worth the same amount of money in today's dollars. So don't save up a bunch of cash that's not growing at 5% interest. Okay? So listen, I want to give you the opportunity to book a phone call with me. Go over to my website at ramafinancialsolutions.net. You'll see two options. One says book a free consultation. That's the one I want you to hit. Hit that. It'll go onto my Google Calendar. I'll get an alert and I will send you an email to confirm our appointment. When that time comes, we'll get on the phone. We'll talk about what interests you. Why did you reach out to me? I'll take notes. We'll see if there's a connection. Then we'll get on a Zoom call if there's something I can actually help you with. And we will help you multiply, increase, good measure, pressed down and shaken together and running over. We will help you maximize and multiply your accounts. I love you and I won't take it back. Good night, James. Good night, Manzi. Good night, Jeffrey. Good night, everybody who's online. Love and blessings. Wisdom Wednesday with Rochelle, 7 o'clock every Wednesday night, starting now. Meet me back here on Wednesday for more information. If you think this is good, don't ghost the page. Hit the like button and pay it forward. Pay it forward. Love you. See you next time. Bye-bye.